brilliant. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first of our afternoon sessions in this Strand. I'm very pleased to welcome Elaine Topham, who is going to be speaking to us about the use of Canvas and Office 365 Canvas, the VLE platform. And it's going to be hopefully a really practical and helpful session. Elaine works as a senior learning technologist in the Innovate department of the Grimsby Institute for Further and Higher Education, and so she's very well placed to speak on this particular topic, and so we're really glad to have her. She's also a member of the Microsoft Innovative Expert Educator community, and is really passionate about getting digital tools into classrooms of all ages. So I'm going to hand over to Elaine now. Thank you, Elaine, and we really appreciate your time to talk about this.
Thank you, Matthew. So hello everyone and welcome to my session today. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about some of the Office 365 tools that we can integrate into Canvas. And I think that actually they're a really nice partnership to create better learning experiences. So as you've just heard, I'm a senior learning technologist at the Grimsby Institute. My role as an MIE expert and MIE fellow involves me getting involved with other educators across the community, and I've got over 10 years experience teaching and supporting in FE and HE. So in the session today, we're going to have a quick look at what Canvas is for those that aren't familiar with it. We're going to look at the way that you can integrate Office 365 tools and how you can then use these for learning. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the examples of how we've used these tools. I'm going to touch briefly on the reporting side of things, so how we're tracking the learning within Canvas, and then give a summary and questions. If I've got time, I'll also demo a couple of the things that I talk about in the session. So we'll see where we get to with that one. So for those who are not familiar, Canvas LMS is a web-based learning management system. It's quite an industry-leading platform. It's really widely used in universities. And one of the things that we chose to use it for was the fact that it's got apps for it and you can get it on any device. It's got a rich set of tools built within Canvas, so the ability to set up assignments, quizzes, discussions, the standard things you'd expect to see within a VLE. And it also has the ability to plug in additional third-party apps through the LTI, Learning Tools Interoperability Standards. So that's one of the great things we like to do, is find other tools that can then extend on the functionality of Canvas and actually improve the experience, both for the students and for the teachers. So how we use Canvas at the Tech Partnerships, the Grimsby Institute is actually part of a wider group of colleges, so called the Tech Partnership, and it's our main learning platform for all of our learners. All of our FE level 2 and level 3 learners actually complete weekly online learning, and we call that SOLAR, Scheduled Online Learning and Assessment, and that accounts for 10% of the programme hours over the year. So it's really quite an important platform that is reliable and it's up all the time, because these learners need to be able to access that every week. Our HE students as well, in our HE teams, they actually submit all of their assignments electronically via the Turnitin plugin in Canvas. So across our entire group, really, Canvas is used as the main learning platform. Even our level 1 learners and other groups in between there will actually use Canvas as well. So we do have a bit of a mix with some areas on other platforms, but the majority are on Canvas. So the Office 365 tools then in Canvas, obviously we're an Office 365 college, and a lot of our tutors are already using the Office 365 tools. So that might be that they've got quizzes set up in forms, or they might have sways with the lesson content in. So the fact that it actually integrates well with Canvas is really a big benefit for us, because our tutors are able to use that content without having to reproduce it. It's a really flexible platform, so a lot of the places where you get a rich text editor in Canvas allow you to add in these additional things, whether that's from Office 365 or any additional third party like Planet eStream, for example. So we really like the fact that the Office 365 tools actually integrate really, really well with Canvas, and they're there just out the box. So one of the main ones we encourage use of is the OneDrive integration. It's built straight in, and the fact that Canvas has a sort of an amount of storage per Canvas course. So we don't really want to keep increasing that for tutors when we've got the cloud storage of OneDrive available. So we encourage the tutors to actually have the files in OneDrive, and then they can add them to any courses that they're attached to as a teacher. That way then it makes it easier for when they get the new courses each year, because every year in Canvas the tutor will get a new blank page where they have to bring the content through. It always happens around this time every year, and every year we have the same kind of issues with moving the content over, but that's the process. So it's kind of one of the things we encourage them to use is OneDrive, so that the files are actually being stored in Canvas itself. The cloud assignments are actually quite an interesting little feature within Canvas. So the cloud assignments allow you to set up a template in your OneDrive and then create an assignment based on that. So you can actually have like a project plan, or you might have a PowerPoint or some document that you want students to fill out. And then you can actually create a cloud assignment for it. When the students go onto the cloud assignment, they'll get their own unique version. How it works, it kind of creates a copy of that OneDrive file for each student, and it works really well. The speed grader is fantastic in Canvas, so once they've submitted the work, you can see that they've submitted it and you can go and mark it all electronically as you'd expect. But it's just a really nice feature, the cloud assignments. One little thing we have found with them, we have a course with all of our staff on it for staff development, and occasionally it kind of doesn't, it sort of stops working, so we've had to duplicate it. That we've only experienced that on courses with large numbers, like the staff development course. So they're a really, really useful feature though, because you know that you're going to get that content back in the same way. And obviously because it's in OneDrive, it saves when they're editing the document, it will just keep saving it. So the other part there with the Office 365 collaborative documents, you're able to set up like a Word document or a PowerPoint. You can use Google or Office 365 here. You choose your document type, give it a name and a description, and then you choose which students out of your course are collaborators on that document. So it's a really nice way. The teacher can then go and see what's going on. The students will all be able to see that collaboration and they'll be able to work on it together. So it's rather than kind of creating a OneDrive document and sharing it with specific students, it's just a quick and easy way to set up a document like that. So I quite like the collaborative documents. So class notebooks, I love OneNote, and OneNote is one of my favourite tools. The class notebooks are integrated within Canvas, and so when the tutors get a new Canvas course, they can actually create a new class notebook directly in the course. So this seems to have changed just in the last week or two. You used to be able to connect from the OneNote app up to Canvas, so I think something's changed there, but I'm speaking to our IT to see what might be on our end. But basically you can connect this up, the students then you can change it. So if anyone's familiar with class notebooks, you normally set them up and you have to add all your students to them manually. With Canvas, one of the great things that it does is it'll actually add the students automatically from the LMS. So from the student enrolments on that course, when they click on the class notebook, it's going to automatically add them to the notebook. So it saves teachers time again, and it's just a really nice feature. Plus, it's right there in the Canvas course then, so when they click on the link, they'll get taken straight into it. So they don't need to go through Office, they don't need to go into OneNote, although they can then open the OneNote on the OneNote app. So it's quite flexible, and it gives students and teachers a different way of working in the Canvas courses. Also within Canvas, we've just recently turned on the Immersive Reader. So Microsoft Immersive Reader, for those of you familiar, is a great accessibility tool. It's becoming available in almost every Microsoft application and others such as Flipgrid and Wakelet and Canvas. So you'll see on the print screen there, the Immersive Reader button is on every wiki page in Canvas. So we encourage our tutors to put the content onto pages like that, so students are then able to use the Immersive Reader straight within Canvas. And again, that's a really nice time-saving feature. and they don't have to then put it in a Word document, open up the Word document or anything like that. They can just do it straight from within Canvas. So that's really, really nice since we got that. And another accessibility feature, I know technically this one's not Office 365, but it's part of Canvas. It's something we recently brought in, and it's an add-in for Canvas from Blackboard Ally. And it's an accessibility add-in within Canvas. And the reason why I wanted to mention this is because it actually adds in such a great range of resources. The documents that are uploaded into a Canvas course are checked for accessibility. You'll see on this print screen the PDF that it's got a scan of there is untagged. So it means when you're trying to get it in the alternate formats, it doesn't necessarily know where the headings are and things like that. So the Blackboard Ally is just a really nice accessibility tool that we've added into Canvas. And I think it's quite interesting. One of the things we're doing over the summer is training the teams on how to make sure that the content that they're uploading is accessible in the first place. But this is a good tool to pick that up once they've uploaded it. And Microsoft Teams meetings. So in Canvas, there's the facility for Canvas conferences using Big Blue Button. We don't subscribe to Big Blue Button, so we're using the standard version through Canvas, which does have a few limitations. And obviously, since March, during the lockdown period, there's been an increase in the amount of people using digital services. So the Big Blue Button conferences we've found have had a few issues in Canvas. But they're working perfectly fine in most instances, but it's just if there's a lot of people in the organisation trying to use them at the same time. So the new integration in Canvas that allows Microsoft Teams meetings to be set up within a Canvas course is a really great addition. We're currently not using Teams with students as a learning platform. We have got Teams on students for communication, but it's not as a learning platform. So this has actually been a really flexible way that teachers have been able to accommodate more learners. So one of the things that we get a lot with areas is they'll have perhaps 2 or 3 different level 2 or level 3 groups that are split across different Canvas pages. So using the Canvas conferences is actually, it doesn't work for them because the Canvas conferences are actually inside a Canvas course. So what we've been doing with areas like that is they've been setting up the Teams meetings either through Canvas or in Teams, and then popping out the meeting links in Canvas announcements. Because the students have got their announcements on and because they've got their apps on the phones, they get the push notifications when the announcement goes out, so they get the meeting link straight to the phone. So it's been a really good way of getting students to engage with the online learning lessons and to get them to come to the online demos that we've been putting on. And like I say there, yeah, so it can be copied across multiple groups or shared out on social. So it's quite a lovely feature within Canvas that I'm quite pleased to see in there. And embeddable content, so it doesn't just stop at all the different tools that are integrated. You've got the ability to embed content in Canvas, as you probably expect. So all of the other Office tools like your sways, your forms, stream videos and things like that can actually be embedded onto Canvas as well. So this can be useful when you're putting things into discussions. You might embed a stream video in there, or perhaps you might have done a Microsoft Teams meeting and then you want to put the recording into the Canvas course. So we've actually been producing quite a few materials for the staff to show them how to do this and to encourage them. The little print screen here with the stream video. We've been putting out stream videos every other day on how to do these different things with Canvas and with Office. So it might even be things like using Mentimeter in Canvas or setting up your class notebook and things like that. So it's just one of the things we've been trying to do to get people to think a little bit more than just putting text and images onto the Canvas pages, because although that's great and it's functional and it works, it's not necessarily the most engaging. So by trying to get them to do things like this, particularly if they can create a sway and put a quiz at the end of it to create that whole kind of online lesson, and that's the kind of thing we've been trying to get people to do. So it's just really, really easy, and I think I probably have time to show you some of that, so that's good. So how are we using this? So our early years department are using class notebooks, and they've been using them for 3 years now through Canvas. So they set up all of their class notebooks every year, and all the students get added to them. They previously were paper-based portfolio qualifications, so they collected lever arch folders worth of paper every year for each student, and they actually had like a whole side of the office with shelves for folders. In the last 3 years, their retention achievement data has gone up every year. Their students are more engaged than ever, and because they've moved on to a pilot with Teams now as well, they're still using Canvas for the solar, but they're moving into using Teams a bit more with delivery. It's actually made the learners, it's been quite a seamless transition through lockdown, and they were still in communication with the tutors throughout. Construction team as well this year. Now that's one of the ones I'm really quite pleased about. Our construction team have moved to using class notebooks instead of paper-based handouts. So for all of their theory classes, that's all delivered via class notebook, which I'm really actually quite pleased about, because it's an area that perhaps you wouldn't expect to engage with the class notebook tools, but they've really flown with it this year, so that's great. As I mentioned earlier, briefly touched on, the cloud assignments have been used for our staff development course. So we've had hundreds of teachers submitting the cloud assignments, and that course was looking at developing their own Canvas courses and then providing like an evidence sheet where they evidenced where they'd implemented those things on their Canvas course. So that was really, really easy to set up, and it meant everyone got the same information, and we got back the same information from that assignment as well. So it was very consistent when marking it. Yeah, and saving storage space in Canvas. So like I said about using Stream for the video content. So our media department, they're always using Stream. We also have Planet eStream, so some tutors will use that. But one of the things that's really we're trying to encourage, because to start off with, when we got Canvas, people were just asking to have their course size updated. But we just had to sort of put a stop to that after a while. And like I say, the sway forms and flip grids, we've got flip grids and wakelets in Canvas, and it's really nice to see all that extra rich content being put in there that can also be accessed quite easily on phones as well. So we're kind of trying to utilise a lot of the Office tools in Canvas as well as the tools that are in Canvas itself. So quickly, we'll talk about tracking engagement. So tracking is a thing that, whether people like it or not, is an essential thing to know that the tools are being used and to know what's going on, really. So within Canvas, there's absolutely fantastic reporting at course level. But for an organisational level, sometimes you want a bit more of a broader view, and you want to see what's going on. So over the last few months, we've developed the Canvas dashboards, which pull the Canvas data from the data portal, and we've put together some reports from that. It is a work in progress, and one of the things that's quite hard for people to get, I think, with things like this is that logins does not equal learning. So views and things like that are not what we're looking for. We're looking at engagement. So by that I mean when a student has submitted or participated in something. So we've started to look to see how we can track when students have submitted an assignment, when they've posted to a discussion and things like that. So it's a little bit more active in terms of what we're looking for, rather than just looking for, yeah, they've logged in. So this is an overview of the dashboard. There's some discrepancy with the data because of the way we pull the student enrolments into Canvas. So we pull in a lot of part-time learners or learners that need access to perhaps one generic course but don't necessarily have their actual course pages set up in there. So that's why some of the data perhaps looks like there's not a lot logging in. But we're down here on this little chart. The engagement chart is probably more reflective of FE and HE. What we're looking for there is who hasn't logged in. So we're trying to see what areas aren't using Canvas, which areas might need more training, more support. You know, is it not working in that area? So can we do something else? So it's really a case of trying to see what's going on. We have our scheduled online learning assessment tile there, which will look at what's being submitted each week. And then through the lockdown, we've developed the course weekly activity. That is a real work in progress at the minute, but we're trying to kind of look at when students are logging in and what they've done in that period as well. But that's a work in progress. And so this is just an example of the type of things we're tracking. So we're looking to see if they've got the solar content published, is the course published, anything that's red in that first column will be something to go and investigate. We track things like the quizzes and the pages and the discussions just because that's what we want to see. We don't want to see just people logging in, and we want to actually see students doing things. So that's why we've created the dashboard, partly to ensure that that 10% of those students' programmes are actually being delivered and that they're getting the quality that they deserve. So it's important that we're doing the tracking, but yeah. So a summary, I think I've got a few minutes just to show you some of those tools. It's excellent summary then. So there's some great tools in Canvas already, but you can extend them further with the Office 365 tools. It gives choice to people and to individuals. So the learners can submit links to sways and things like that, and the tutors can use the sways and they don't have to replicate anything. And the reporting at course level is fantastic. So that's that. Before I go and demo anything in particular, are there any questions or anything there?
Yeah, thank you, Elaine. So just one question to pick up on. We've talked about large training groups. Is there a sort of an estimated group size? You may have picked up on this already, but is there an estimated group size that kind of works best?
I mean, we've got 400 or 500 in it, so I don't think the standard class sizes would be that big. So with the staff ones, I don't actually know, to be honest, Matthew, if there is a limit. I think with ours, we just the teachers don't seem to be having problems, and they might have sort of 50 to 60 tops on there. We just started to experience it once we got over a few hundred. And with it ongoing, it just seemed to, so we changed it to a standard assignment just because we didn't want to inconvenience the staff. So.
Brilliant. So for colleagues out there who are thinking about this, actually you're very unlikely to bump into any kind of issue or restriction. So it's just in the same way that Teams comes with its upper limit, and you only really find it when you push the system to its limit at that point, or in our case as a trust, when you try and put on a full trust assembly and don't realize that Teams has a maximum of 250. So all of these products have this, but you're not likely to run into that issue with Canvas. Now, I think, Elaine, if you want to do any demos and things now, just kind of like maybe a walk around of Canvas, that would be great.
Yeah. So I kind of set up this little course earlier just to demo some of the things in a more concise way, rather than trying to troll through all the courses in Canvas. But this is just a little demo of the things that I've been talking about. So you can see down the bottom here, on our actual training page, we've embedded our booking form, so Office 365 bookings, and people can come along, say that they're struggling with the content, they can just literally pop into this. It's actually live, so they can pick things straight out of it like that and fill it out straight on the Canvas page. So rather than giving them a link that takes them off somewhere, takes them out of Canvas, and that's the last thing you want to do with students, you have to keep them in. So with the staff, we've got the booking forms on there, so that's actually a really nice thing. The OneDrive integration is just straightforward little links like this. So if I just pop in and edit this, so you'll see kind of, it's just a standard kind of text editor on here. You've got all the little tools across the top, but the little blue V, as we call it, the more external tools button, or the blue V, everyone at Grimsby knows what the blue V is. The blue V there, and we go on Office 365 there. That will then, depending on whether it picks up that and signed in, which it usually does. Sometimes if you haven't accessed it for a while, your access token sort of needs reauthorizing, but it's fine. So you can go in there and pick out a file. So let's say I want to put that one on there. I can pop that on there, and that'll just pop a little link on there. One of my little bugbears with this is it puts the .docx on there. So a little tip that we give to teachers is if they actually type the file name and then highlight it and then do the OneDrive link, it'll attach the link to the bit of text rather than put the file name in. But yeah, so you can see that that's there. If we just go back to the page and click on it, that's just going to open a new tab, launching my LTI, and that'll take me straight into the OneDrive document eventually. There we go. So that's that OneDrive document there opened up. So it's just really easy. It doesn't take the storage up in the course. And then we've got the, I like the cloud assignments. I do like the cloud assignments. I think they're a really great feature. I've not put it on here. I've not put it on the page. So there we go, the cloud assignment in assignment. So there we go. When it comes up. So you'll see there when the student comes to this page, they would just get this document. They actually get a submit button or an edit button, something like that, and they just edit it straight from there. Obviously, I'm a teacher on this course, so it's picked up that I'm the owner of the document. But it does assign different numbers for each student, so it kind of links that document to each student, which is a really nice way of looking at things. And your speed grader, I just like the speed grader, so I'll have to, yeah, I haven't put anything in. If the student had submitted anything, it would come up on there. I could probably go find one, but I won't at the moment. Okay, so that's the cloud assignments. I'll show you how to set one of those up, I think, because that's actually a really good thing to do. So your assignments, you just go in your assignments and plus assignment. All assignments are kind of the same, so you give it a name. How bad I am at typing when under pressure. Add in your description, so short one, and any points or anything like that, and any grading that you want to apply to that as well. So if you're using rubrics with Canvas, then you might, that gets a bit complicated there, but you might change your points or put this on a percentage. I'm going to leave it as complete and incomplete because it's just a standard, they've done it or they haven't. And then this is the bit where you change to external tool and you go to find the cloud assignments in here. So there's loads of different options for the type of assignment things that you can add in. But you've got your Office 365 cloud assignment there. And there we go. Let's add that one in and I'll add that one in there. So you just attach your file and that should come back to a little screen in a moment. There you go. And you just select that. It puts in an address for it. You don't really need to worry about anything. Obviously, if it was a proper assignment, you'd set your due dates and decide who you want to assign that to, and then just save and publish it. And Canvas publishing things makes it available to students. And then that literally is the cloud assignment pulled up. So I think the cloud assignments are just really, really quick. I'm wondering if that will work on that one. Let me just try. So if I'm just in, yeah, okay. I didn't think it would work because the test student isn't actually an Office 365 user. So when you click to sign in, it won't let me do it. So I can't demo that for you on the student side. But yeah, it does work and it works really, really well. So yeah, they are good. I'll jump down to the embeddable content because it's one of my favourite ones. I'll pop back to one of the other ones in a minute. But I actually really like.
Big fan of Sway. Sway is great.
Yeah, Sway's brilliant. I think Sway is just so flexible. I'll be honest, actually. No, I'm going to correct myself. I don't like Sway. I like control and I like being able to put things where I want them. So Sway doesn't let me do that, but I actually use it all the time because it is so flexible. I can put videos in it and then I can just send a link out. And because of that, a lot of our tutors do actually use Sway because they know that they can just stick it on Canvas. They can deliver it at the front of a class. They can text out the link to it even. So there's a whole range of different ways they can get that content out as opposed to a PowerPoint, which, you know, is a little bit more yeah, traditional. Okay, although I use PowerPoint all the time as well, so yeah, depends what I'm doing. But the forms there, so you've got your forms directly in there. That works great. And I particularly like using Office Online to embed my PowerPoints because then they don't have to download the file. They've just got the PowerPoint straight up on Canvas. And for some reason my colours aren't working on that one when I embedded it. But so there's the PowerPoint. I just really think it's a really nice way of putting the PowerPoints rather than just a list of files. because that's quite often what people will do when they first start to use Canvas, because obviously they want to put content on and they just stick files on it, and it's not always the prettiest or most visual. So that's that. The immersive reader, you can actually see it up at the top there. Immersive reader is just built straight in. And earlier I mentioned about the Blackboard accessibility scores. So you'll see on every image and every document in this course, there's a little dial that shows whether it's accessible. But immersive reader is just brilliant, straight in Canvas on the content. So, you know, fantastic. Cool. Let's see what else. Have we got anything else on there? So yeah, the class notebook. If I'd have gotten that one, that would have been terrible. So the class notebook, actually, you'll see on the course menu down here, you've got the class notebook link. That's on every single Canvas course. When the tutor first clicks it, it's going to come up and it'll probably notice that you don't have a OneNote already assigned to that course. So it comes up and it says, what do you want to call it? So I'm going to call it A365 notebook. And then click next. And for those of you that are familiar with class notebooks, this is exactly the same procedure as setting up a normal class notebook. The only difference is it's then connected to your Canvas course. So if I click next, I could add in other teachers at this point. And this is the bit I was saying earlier about the adding students. So I tend to leave it obviously on automatically add students, because then they just add themselves and then they appear in my OneNote and I don't have to do anything for that. So it's fantastic. Again, we get our sections that you might want to add in, different things like that. I always say to people, plan that step out really carefully when you're doing your OneNote. It's a lot easier to add in sections later than it is to take them out, especially when you've got a OneNote with hundreds of staff on it. So that's just something I always say to people, plan your OneNote content. And then when you click next, that's just going to give you a standard preview. Click on create, and it may take a few minutes. It also might not do, but yeah, and that's basically how you create your OneNotes in your Canvas courses. And once that's done, you just copy your content in as you would. You've got your link to open it in OneNote online, and it's all ready for your students to add themselves to. So I actually really think that's quite a nice feature within Canvas.
Yeah, that's a really practical one. That class notebook creator, really helpful and very widely or increasingly widely used, which is great. You mentioned there an interesting point, Elaine, about kind of pre-planning your OneNote sections. If we were to step back from OneNote for a moment and just think about Canvas, are there any kind of setup suggestions that you would give us if we're just getting started and we think you don't want to find a few weeks or months or years down the line that you've kind of made some rookie errors in setting up? Are there any suggestions you could make there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, good file management is key. So what some of our tutors did to start off with was just import everything from Moodle, because we moved from Moodle to Canvas. And they brought everything, things from 2006, and then spent time taking it out. So my advice is, when you first start with Canvas, is plan what goes in to start off with. So with the folders in the files area, and put your files in the relevant folders. But also you've got modules. I mean, I haven't got them set up on this particular course because it was just a demo. So I've gone for more of a web page style view. Quite a lot of our tutors will use the web page style view. So just set up lots of pages and create links to each one. But you do have to have a thought of the path through your Canvas course there, because if you're not putting a back button on a page, I know they can click on home, but a lot of learners get to a point and then go, there's no back button, even though there are, you can get out of it. But yeah, so it's thinking about the navigation. The modules are really useful, actually. If I just jump off onto this course, the modules are really useful if you're wanting to track and award digital badges. So that's where you have to start thinking about things like that. So looking at module requirements and then badges can be awarded based on requirements of modules. So you'll see like this setup here. This is our staff development one where they submit the badges through the cloud assignments. Obviously we changed them eventually just to an upload. But this was basically the prerequisites there to complete so many tasks out of this one. And then once they complete one of those, they get a digital badge. But you can't set that up without the modular view. So it is really it's how you're going to use your course and what features you're going to use that you need to plan.
Brilliant, thank you. And so having that kind of really clear roadmap of where you're going, I think that's a really helpful message there. With setting up any VLE really and any kind of SharePoint based system.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, so you've got, those are sort of the tips for setup. On a daily basis, what would you say you use Canvas for the most, or what kind of is the most powerful tool for you?
I'm an admin, so from my point of view, the announcements, because, and I think that might be the same from a lot of teachers' point of view as well, because the announcements, you can literally pop any content into an announcement, and if the students, if you've encouraged them to have the mobile phone with the notifications on, then they'll get that straight to the phone. And our tutors have been sending out announcements, you know, here's the course link for today, this is what you need to do, and things like that. So it's that communication really, and that's key, especially at the minute. So I think the tutors, I think from my point of view, certainly for me, announcements, because I can communicate out to the entire organisation through Canvas on an announcement. And, you know, put out a survey link, or there's a remote learning guide here and that sort of thing. So from my point of view, it's announcements. But...
Brilliant, thank you, Elaine. That's really helpful. And I think we've covered an awful lot of ground there. And I think we've gone through any questions and thoughts at this point. But Elaine, have you got a Twitter handle that people could perhaps tweet to if they think of anything? I think, did you have one on your presentation? I can't remember.
I do, yes.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking going forward, if you know, if people have any, there we go, have any thoughts.
At Elaine Topham, it's very creative.
I think those ones are the best though, because you don't spend spend hours trying to find the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so folks, if you've got any other questions beyond this, maybe you're thinking about going on this journey and you kind of hit a point where actually a little bit of advice might not hurt, then Elaine is on Twitter. Please do tweet her, or any thoughts that you come up with like 5 minutes after this after this Q&A has ended, which is always the way for me. Do tweet her, or if you're watching on catch up as well, I forgot that we were doing that. So yeah, do get in touch. But thank you, Elaine, for that session. It's really practical and helpful. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the afternoon.